Anytime Jason gives you the word.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're ready.
Morning. 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 I'm sure we all came here today in some type of car, truck, or SUV. But how much of us neglected to fasten our seatbelts? About 17% of people don't wear their seatbelts in everyday transportation. 2 summers ago, I received a phone call that my sister had gotten into a car accident. The first thing I thought was, is she all right, when my heart stopped? Thankfully, the answer was yes. When I went to the hospital, the doctor said that the seatbelt was what saved her life. The only extent of her injuries was a small red mark on her left shoulder, and her neck was a little sore for a few days. Right away, this impacted my outlook on life. I've always worn seatbelts, and I always will. Today, I would like to persuade you why you should wear your seatbelt, the consequences if you don't, and the statistics about seatbelt safety. Let's begin about speaking why everyone should wear their seatbelt. Seatbelts should be the first thing that comes to everyone's mind when you first get into a car. Making a good habit of putting on your seatbelt every time will help you from serious injury or death. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, also known as NHTSA, it estimated that between 1975 and 2001, over 135,000 lives were saved because of seatbelts that were worn. Many people refuse to wear their seatbelts because they say they're uncomfortable or they just forget to put it on. Some other excuses are people give not to wear seatbelts. They believe they're in more danger and they prefer to move around freely. In this video, I'd like to show you why it's not a good idea to move around freely in the car.
This is a good illustration of what happens. This should never happen. So we've lost control of it. We're waiting while the speaker's doing something. The speech has come to a stop. It's lost momentum. And all of this has to be done ahead before you begin to speak. So it's all set up. It's smooth. It's right there.
Do you have any idea what happens to you in a crash when you're not wearing a seatbelt, even at as little as 50 kilometres an hour? As the car accelerates, you leave your seat and smash into the windscreen. Shockwaves ripple through the ground, instantly damaging cells. Your body is like a pinball bouncing off the dash, roof and seats. The forces fracture limbs and puncture your lungs. Then you're likely to collide with belted occupants, severely injuring them too. The result could be severe brain or spinal injuries from which you are unlikely to recover fully. Why would you ever get into a car without putting on a seatbelt?
Seatbelts were not installed until the 1950s, and since then it is a fact that they have saved lives. Simple lap belts were first marketed by Volvo in 1956, but seatbelts were not required and installed until 1968. Now that we have discussed why everyone should wear their seatbelts, let's talk about the consequences if they don't. When seatbelts are not worn, the chances of life-threatening injuries are much higher. According to Akasong Nicolia, an author of Why facts on why you should wear your seatbelt. There are about 40,000 deaths caused by automobile accidents each year. Of these deaths, experts say from the NHTSA that nearly half of these deaths could have been prevented if people had worn their seatbelts. When victims from accidents survive from not wearing their seatbelt, long-term injuries occur, such as head concussions, memory loss, severe head and brain damage, and spinal injuries. Occupants that do not wear their seatbelts are more prone to these injuries from hitting the windshield, the sides of the car, and other people inside the car. And there also is a better chance of them just flying out of the car. People also that don't wear their seatbelts become strong projectiles in many accidents and collide with others riding in the vehicle and can cause more damage than the accident itself. Now that we have discussed why everyone should wear their seatbelts and the consequences if they don't, let's talk about statistics on seatbelt safety. Physics play a big role in seatbelts during a car accident. Cars are able to stop in a fraction of a second, but the same doesn't go for people inside the car. A passenger not wearing a seatbelt will continue until they are stopped by the steering wheel, the windshield, or the seat in front of them. Seatbelts are designed specifically to distribute forces of rapid deceleration or sudden stopping across the larger, stronger parts of a person's body, such as their chest, hips, and shoulders. The simplest trips we take each day can result in an accident. Research shows that many related auto accidents occur within 25 miles of the person's home or work area and at relatively low speeds of 40 miles an hour. To put in perspective, in a 30-mile-an-hour crash, a collision of an unbelted person that weighs about 160 pounds, that person can slam into the windshield or another person with a force of 4,800 pounds. In conclusion, I hope I have helped demonstrate the seriousness of wearing a seatbelt. Putting on your seatbelt just takes a few extra seconds and will save your life if an accident occurs. It should not cross people's minds twice when they sit down in the car each day. I have discussed why everyone should wear their seatbelts, the consequences if they don't, and the statistics on seatbelt safety. I was very glad to hear that my sister was okay after her accident. The doctor said the extent of her injuries could have been much more severe if she was not wearing her seatbelt. Statistics say that if 90% of Americans had worn their seatbelts, over 5,500 lives could be prevented each year. No one should have to go through losing someone in a car accident. That's why you should buckle up each time.
What do we have for time?
8:15.